Okay, cool. All right, so thank you so much for your patience, all right, again, and I'm really, really pleased to be here today. My name is Amu. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of a company called DaVinci Group and K2-P3, as well as the co-founder. I'm just very mindful of time that I have about 20 minutes, so I don't want to take you away from Saturday, so I'm just going to keep this chance today, okay? And if you have any other questions, after that, happy to have a conversation and meet up, all right? So, can I just have an understanding? Have you don't hear me well, right? I just wanna make sure. Maybe you can just type in the chat if you can all hear me well. No, you can't hear me. Distortion. Okay. Maybe I should speak slower. Is that better? Choppy. All right. What do I do? John and Choppy apparently were like. I think that will take a lot more time. If not, what do you mean? Is that headset? Okay. Come over to you. You make yourself okay. That was Chinese. Come over. But my slides are on the other side.
All right. Okay. I'll pass this headset. Yeah. Okay. To Miss Amu. Then she'll take it over from here.
Plug this into mine.
Okay. So give me a minute. You can use mine.
All right. Slides on. What? Slides can't share. The slides are on there.
Oh, that's on there.
Okay. You know what? Okay. Can you all hear me better now? Okay. Awesome. All right, so this is what I'm going to do, okay? My slides is on the other laptop, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about what it is that I wanted to speak to you guys about today, okay? Okay, cool. So as I was saying, my background is in clinical neuropsychology. That's my background. I've done this for over 10 years. And with DaVinci Group, I co-founded it about 7 years ago. And I wanted to speak to you basically in the next 20 minutes or so on how you can actually use sensorial means to make math problems easy and versatile. So in the last 7 years of being in DaVinci Group, we've worked with more than 120,000 children. Because of the background that I'm in, which is clinical neuropsychology, I've had the good fortune of actually studying the data to see how it is that they have benefited from sensorial means to learn content. So a little bit of background. The science behind whatever we do is based on this field of study called neuroeducation. So this is spelled Neuroeducation, okay? And neuroeducation is a subset of neuroscience. Nicolette, I don't know whether that was you or your child who has typed that into the chat, but that's really cute. Okay, neuroeducation is a subset of neuroscience. Now, what this field of study says is that when you use your senses, okay, to process information and learn content, you are making sure that the content that you're learning is imprinted better in your brain so that you have a better biological imprint, which means whatever you've learned, you make it last for a longer time. Okay, so based on this science, there are a few mediums that you can use that actually makes the learning last longer. Okay, so these mediums have to be completely sensorial. And what we have found is that when you use clay as a medium, your engagement level shoots up especially high. Now, how many of you have actually worked with Play-Doh? Can you say it in the chat? I'm sure a lot of parents must be very familiar with Play-Doh. Yes, you, okay, Geraldine? Okay, great. So you're all familiar with Play-Doh, yeah? Excellent. And you mostly use Play-Doh as an engagement tool for just, free play and so on and so forth. Now, how many of you have actually used clay before? This is the type of clay that actually goes into a kiln and gets fired. Any one of you played with clay before? You can type it in. Okay, lovely. Right. So for those of you who have experienced both Play-Doh and clay, you will notice that there is a difference in the texture. So I'm going to tell you what happens in the brain between the two. Okay. For most people, you might think it's sensorial, it's fun, it's squishy, it's all of that. But there's a little more to it. Okay. So with Play-Doh, if you play with it for 10 minutes or so, your experience of it would be oily, sticky, oily, sticky, oily, sticky, and oily, sticky, right? It's just the same texture throughout that 10 minutes, and you would play with it for the longest duration, and it would still be that. But for those of you who have played with clay, you would realize that the texture of clay changes. And for this benefit, I've got some clay over here. Jonan, would you bring the clay kit box, please? Thank you. When you actually open up clay and you touch it, you would realize that it is wet, it is moist, it is cool. And then after a while, as you play with it, it gets warmer, and then it gets, a little more crumbly, and then it gets dry. And then when you want to re-engage with it, you add a little bit of water, and then it gets squishy, and so on and so forth. So for your brain, because it cannot sort of get used to the texture, your neurons or your brain cells are firing at a completely rapid rate. Whereas with Play-Doh, it gets this new sensation, and then after that, it sort of plateaus because the sensation stays the same way, and then sometimes it even drops. Now, what you really want is engagement. So when your brain and your neurons are actually going like that, and then you marry content together with that process, that's when you have the aha magic moment. Okay, it doesn't work the same way with Play-Doh or plasticine or dough that you sort of might have, and so on and so forth. The magic is really in the clay. So we use this, okay, called the clay kit, okay, and it's got everything that we need in the box. This is what my son Dronan used. There's a guidebook, there's like a tool, and then there is the gold, which is the clay. Now, this much of clay can actually help with whatever exercises that you want to do for, like, maybe you can make 3 to 4 products and so on and so forth. And then, of course, there's a wet wipe here that you can use to clean out. So now I want to show you what I mean by exactly this in terms of the math context. Okay, so Dronan, can you come here?
Hello.
Can you all hear Dronan when he talks? Can you say yes or no?
Can you?
Say louder.
Can you?
Oh, good. They're all saying yes over here, okay?
Okay.
So Dronan's name is D-R-O-N-A-N. Not Jordan, but that's close enough, Claire. It's D-R-O-N-A-N, okay? Okay, awesome. So Dronan, can you please tell them what you made? I don't know whether all of you are familiar with the math book that John has. But hold on a second, darling. It's all right, don't worry about it. The book that I referred to for Dronan is My Wild Adventures in the Math Jungle for P1 and P2, because Dronan has just gone into P1, okay? And we tried to do some of the sums in there, okay? And inside the book, I wanted to show you, there's this character. Can you all see? Yes, okay. There's this character called, who is this, Dronan? Can you see what I'm pointing? Melon, yes. And Dronan actually created his own melon. Dronan, you show them. You show them melon.
Melon. This is melon.
Can you go higher so that they can see? Yes, the webcam is over here. Okay, Dronan. This is also a great exercise for Dronan to learn how to digitally communicate with everyone online. This is Dronan's melon. Dronan, can you tell me a little bit, how was it to create melon?
It was good.
It was good? Did it help you learn what was in the book?
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Can you tell me how you like, what's your experience working with clay? I don't want to give leading questions as much, okay? All right, so careful of this. Okay, we're going to put it down, put melon down. But can you tell me a little bit about what your experience was working with clay?
It was nice that I was going to that I was missing that I was that I was it's so good that I was so happy.
You're happy? Do you like working with clay? Maybe, okay, so you've got to pardon him. This is probably the first time he's doing this online. So he has a lot of things going on in his head and a lot of things, technology in front. So I will ask him the questions, okay? So did you learn better with clay?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's squishy.
Okay.
And it's so slippery.
Okay.
And I can even make a lot of things with that.
Okay.
With the clay.
And when you actually created Melon, who's a character in the book, did it help you see Melon in real life? And did that help your sort of understanding of the questions and so on in the book?
I think I can't remember. I think yes.
You can't remember. So there is this okay, so he said he can't. Okay, so John's just giving me tips in terms of making sure that you guys oh, thanks Claire for the encouragement. Ronan, Auntie Claire said that you are doing great. This is a different Auntie Claire. Okay, so what I did with him, right, because Jonan has always grown up in a very, very sensorial way, given my background in clinical neuropsychology and my husband's background in neurobiology. So what we've always done is that we have made things very, very sensorially engaging when he learns. So there's a lot of water play. There is a lot of squishy sensorial stuff. I don't really use sand. I use a lot of clay for good reason that I've done clay for the last few years. I've done a lot of pottery and so on and so forth. So everything that we do, I try and crystallize it with something that is tangible, because when he learns, I realize that some of the concepts and so on are a little bit abstract. And when he targets down to something that is concrete, it really helps his memory. Now, memory is really based on mental representations, and I wanted to go into that. When you have mental representations of certain things, you remember better when there are many layers incorporated with your senses. So that's why they say, instead of just looking at a whiteboard and learning, it's best when you actually touch it, when you hear it, when you see it, sometimes if you can smell it and if you can taste it. Now, clay, interestingly, actually has all five if you think about it, because the type of clay that we use is lead and toxins free. Jonan has attempted it from 17 months and he's eaten quite a bit of clay, still around. So, there is a smell to it as well that he can associate with. It's quite a pleasant smell. And then when you talk about seeing, touching, it's very, very tactile. And then of course, so on and so forth. So when he does that, there was this one math sum that we did, which had to do with what? What was that one math sum that we did? The blueberries, yes. And then what did you do with the blueberries?
I made a caterpillar with the blueberries.
So first of all, he solved the problem sum, the blueberry sum, where I think one child had 12 and the other one had like 10 more, and how many blueberries do we have altogether? And then after that, he made a caterpillar out of it. So that's him actually associating with the content in a creative way, such that next time I tell him caterpillar and he'll pick up this blueberry question. I've got some picture, well, not pictures. I don't know whether I can show you this. Hold on, so I'm going to take Melon out. Ronan, who is this character that you built out of the math sum?
Birdie.
Birdie. Birdie is the mouse. How many of you know Birdie? Say yes if you know Birdie. If you haven't gotten the book, you should get the book. It's actually a very nice storytelling book, okay? And the clay if you want. And then we made a what? What did you make?
A snake.
Yes, a snake, because there were a number of snake problem sums there as well. And then finally, this is the, Mummy's going to hold it so that...
Caterpillar.
Okay, Mummy's going to hold it so that the caterpillar doesn't break. Okay. And if it does, we'll just stick it back on. Can you all see? Yeah, so this is the blueberry caterpillar that he was talking about. The first one has eyes and a mouth, and then we haven't stick this part yet properly, so it's coming off. But that's the beauty of clay. You can just add water and make that a little more concrete. So what am I trying to say with all of this? I'm trying to say that if you wanted your child to learn content in an interesting, engaging way, I mean, gone are the days where we just have to do rote learning, right? I mean, in schools, that is something that we really, really should change, because when you're just sitting and looking at the whiteboard and so on and so forth, you only have the ability to mentally represent through visual, all right, and maybe auditory. But if you add another dimension to it and you supplement this with what is going on in the school, your children are going to be able to retain things better. And this is shown by evidence, okay? In fact, with the 120,000 children we've worked with in our programs of doing all sorts of contents ranging from habitats to food and so on and so forth, we have found that cognitive abilities, focus, as well as learning abilities has increased by 173%. And this is no small feat. So I really encourage you parents to try and look at the most simplest, I hear a why. Okay, Nicolette, why for? If you wanted to just write down a little bit more about why for what question, I'm happy to address that. Okay, so if you are able to sort of look at how it is that they process things, which is in wonderment, and also the fact that what can I touch first, what can I sort of put into, like, you know, use my fingers with, and so on and so forth, then we would realize that we can create every opportunity of learning as a creative opportunity. And with that, you can test them months down the road. They will probably remember what it is that they've learned as well. For example, I'll just give you an anecdotal example of something that, sorry about that, about a child who was about 5 years old. And we did this topic on underwater sea creatures. And we looked at the leafy sea dragon. Okay, so we made a leafy sea dragon out of clay. And then a few weeks down the road, the mom told me that one day he was playing with Lego blocks and he made this S. And with the S, Mom just thought it was the letter S or something. But then he went on to say, Mom, this is the seahorse that we learned. So moving from something such as clay as an expression, there was application to other mediums and so on and so forth. And that is what we want to achieve. That application thing is called abstract thinking and problem solving. Yes, okay, so this is a very good question. Can flour and water be mixed together to replace clay? Now, you can make it into a dough, but there is this thing about clay that is great. It is the fact that Dronan actually made this maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's still here. And what he can do with this after that is that he's going to paint it, and he's going to remember it still. So what this has become is that it's become a trigger point for his learning experience. And that's what we want. If you actually use dough on your own, what happens is that after that it disintegrates. It's not there to serve as a trigger point as how it can possibly be. It's just like a photograph, you know, if it's your graduation or your wedding or something, maybe 10 years ago, and then you look at a photograph today, you realize that when you were emotionally heightened, you remember that one particular picture and you look at it, you get a flood of activities that happened before and after coming back. That is the memory system that we want to create out of learning as well. So that's really important. So I hope you answered your question. Yes, you can use flour and water for the short run, but I would really recommend something more concrete that lasts for a longer time so that you can actually retain that information and keep their learning. Thank you, Claire. Okay, John just gave me some tips. Lovely. All right. So what can you do today? All right. I'm mindful of the time. It's 10:55. John actually told me that I could go on until about 11:10 if you're okay. But I'd like to wrap up in a couple of minutes and take some questions if you like. What you can do today is, with whatever John has said in terms of using materials around the house, try as parents to think of it as an as a tool for you to express problem sums or even like English words and so on and so forth. That's the first step, because you could possibly run off and get some clay, but or you could go to our website and get the clay, but it takes a while, right? But what you can do today is look at your everyday materials and see how you can learn it, use it as a learning opportunity. You guys as parents need to get into the thinking process of looking at your everyday environment like that first, so that you can maximize the opportunity to use these enhanced items like clay and so on. You know, this is how it looks like when I repackage it into smaller bits, into these sort of tools as well. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is also go read up on neuroeducation, just so that you know how your brain kind of processes everything, because we want to be able to work with the brain. We don't want to work, you know, on the other side of the brain. You know, we want to work with how it processes and optimizes information. You feeling okay, darling? You're sitting on my lap, and I think he's a little bit uncomfortable. So we want to know how the brain works, so that we can optimally engage it as well. Okay, I think these two steps would actually take you quite far. And once you've gotten into the groove of that, then you would learn to appreciate how externalizing and also crystallizing something into a tangible form, what they're learning, can actually help your children. Okay, so that's my 2 cents worth. I really had to wing it because I had some slides and so on and so forth that we didn't go. Okay, that's a great question. How's clay kit different from other clays out there? Great. Now, the type of clay that we get is from Australia as well as Canada. So the type of clay that we have is lead and toxins free and dinnerware grade. That's the most important. The thing is, even though this is high grade air dry clay, I can actually fire it up in a kiln and use it as pots and plates and so on and so forth. And because of that, it's absolutely safe for the children, lead and toxins free. And also it has wood fiber chips in them that allows for the learning, or rather whatever they create, to be around for 2 to 3 years or even more. So I am a big fan of making items that are functional. In fact, I'm going to show you this. Jordan, can you go to my Auntie Kin's room and get all the things that I've done with the lessons, like the spider and the other things? Yeah, the colored ones, you bring it over.
But the box?
Yeah, the whole box of things. I want to, 2 box can. I want to show you how that makes it last.
You can show them to do slowly.
Yeah. So say that again. Can't hear you.
You have to do slowly and more.
Okay. All right. So when you create something like this, you can paint it, right? I want to just bring you some items that have already been painted, so that you realize how it is that it's sturdy as well. Okay, come. Thank you. Okay, that's okay. So I went ahead and did some online classes. Thank you. John's so helpful. So we created things like this, and this is actually like a bookshelf or a photo frame stand, or like a name card holder. Do we have a name card lying around? Do you have a name card lying around? I'll show you how it looks. Vernon, do you have a name? Oh, or a handphone, even a handphone stand. It can support the weight. It's quite sturdy. Okay, and then
You can use it.
we even made like a starfish, because we talked about tide pools and stuff like that. And this can become like a pencil holder, like for example, take a pen and put it in there, ta-da! As long as these things are functional, your kids are going to remember the learning for a much longer time, okay? And then I've got like, this is like we learned about the deserts and then we painted it, and then we've got like a paperweight. Okay, so you kind of get the idea, right? So I'm just saying that the quality of the clay is much better, so that works. I'm over time, 11:01. So I hope this session brought you lots of value in terms of how it is that we do things. And I'm really, John and I are going to do another session next Saturday. And I hope that would give you even more tips in terms of how you can actually make this part of your life. And I also would love for any question and answer, a question time. I would also love for you to ask me any questions that you might have, so that we can wrap up this session. Yes. You can type it out. They can't talk, right? No, they can't talk. Okay. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you also, like, okay, you can also join our Facebook group called Clay Kids Digital Learning Enthusiasts. All right, John would help us later. And or if you needed what it looked like, this is the website also that you can have a look a little bit more in terms of how we use clay. And the book that we used for John, hang on a second, I'm just trying to take the book, moving away all the clay items, is this one, so that you know what it is that we used. The problem sums here are written out very nicely so that there are lots of words that we can use and create from, okay?
My wife.
Okay.
Adventure in
I have a few more minutes if you needed to ask any questions, unless I was crystal clear. And I hope I was. Okay, I think I don't see anything. I will pass it back to John, and I'm right here if you needed any other sort of information and so on. Okay, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure to talk to all of you this morning. Jordan, you want to say bye? Jordan, say bye.
Bye bye.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. You go, John.
Okay, parents, this is John here again, and thanks so much for being here. Yeah, because actually, by right, Miss Amu has some slides for you. Yeah, but I think it turns out to be much better without the slides because she's so eloquent and she's such a good storyteller. Yeah, and I think it helps because and her son is using clay to learn math, and it's something that I think all the children should do to make math less boring. Okay, yeah. So right now, what I'll do is I will share the link of what Miss Amu has shared just now. Okay, so if you want to join her Facebook group to get to know more, you can go here. Okay, this is her Facebook group link, and then I know that most of you are from my community, so if you want to join and send to your friends, go ahead. Okay, yeah. Okay, so a few things here, and a few things here. Okay, so for parents who have signed up for our next session at 10 o'clock as well, yeah, and some of you have gotten the clay kit from us, you will have seen this this box, right? Okay, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because my kids also use that too. Yeah, so for some parents with this, do remember to bring out on this Saturday, prepare by about 9:30 a.m. Yeah, get your kids all seated down in front of the TV or laptop. Yeah, and what you are going to do is we're going to show you some simple steps in how to get all this out. Yeah, get all this out. And again, for young children, there's no right or wrong way to do it because it is the experience of molding all this that helps them to internalize the problem solving techniques. Yeah, instead of just sitting there for hours and trying to solve questions using their pen or color pencils and writing on a worksheet, which is quite boring for most kids. Okay, yeah. So at the same time, next week, because we have young kids turning up for next week, kids from K2 to P3, we are going to use this book, yeah, and we are going to share with you some problems for P3 as well, because it doesn't matter is it P1, 2, or 3, the problem sums are about the same, yeah, and the techniques and how to can be transferred across to upper level as well, okay? So in the meantime, if you have any question, do feel free to post it inside the chat box. If not, we'll just call it a day because I know that there's lots of things going on this week and probably you have something to attend to. Yeah. Okay, any question from your parents? Okay. Okay, give me a minute so I will give you the link, okay, the link for next week. Okay, Okay. I'll give you the link. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is a link for next week. Yeah, so just click on it and then you'll see that. Okay, so is part 2 and going to be same timing on next Saturday. Okay, which is 4th of April, if I'm not wrong. All right. Okay, so yeah. Okay, for parents who want to stay around to ask questions, do stay around. For parents who want to leave, yeah, just go ahead because I know that you are busy. Yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, we'll see you next week. Okay. For parents who wants to PM me questions, I will be around for like 2 minutes or so. Yeah. Okay, Mami, Nicolette, thanks for your patience as well. So you can go ahead and do your things. Okay. Thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks, Rose. Okay. Okay, goodbye.